Then the last question may be for me, because I read from your book that you used to be a marathon runner.
Yes.
So as I'm also a marathon runner, I heard friends told me that marathon running is not good for your health. So what's your opinion about this?
I think it's excellent for your health. Nobody really said, maybe in Chinese sometimes, they have many funny ideas. And I can tell you this idea is very, very wrong. It's very good for the health. Of course, you have to do it correctly. My story of the marathons is also a very strange story, because when I was young, I never did sports. I never run. Nothing. No, never. And with the Olympics, I was so stressed. I said, maybe I should go to the gym and move a little bit, So I go to the gym. I'll never forget. It was in the Swiss hotel. So I went there and I saw this machine, this running machine. I said, oh my God, that looks very dangerous. So I got the machine and I walked.
So slow.
I ran 500 meters. Wow, 1 kilometer. Wow. I go home and tell my wife, I run 1 kilometer. And it was very fun because the manager there was a foreigner with a funny name, because was Mr. Hilton. No relation with the Hilton hotels, but his name was Mr. Hilton. He comes to me, he looks at me, he says, your body is the body of a runner. You should maybe try marathon. I said, you must be completely out of your mind. Oh, he said, he gave me 3 pages of paper with the training schedule for the marathon. I said, you follow this, you can do it. So I follow his paper. So I started running 1 kilometer, 4 kilometer, 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer.
240.
So I follow his schedule. It's very complicated actually, because there's a whole training approach for the marathon that you have to follow. So you do in 1 week, you have several smaller runs like 5K or 10K, and maybe once in a week you do 15 or 20K. And also the way you run, you have to do not always the same speed. Go up, go down, go up, go down the speed. You have always to change your speed. So there's a whole explanation. So I studied this. So I did run finally my first marathon in Beijing, where I run a total of, I think, 5 marathons.
5 marathons.
And I run also 1 marathon in the Republic of Mongolia. And that is a horrible marathon, because it's called an ultra marathon, which means that the smaller one is only 42 kilometers.
42, yes.
In the mountains. So there is no pass. You run through mud, you run through gravel, you run over wet grass, you run through the forest, and basically you run alone.
No.
So you have to find your way, don't lose your way, you find your own way. So they put some paint on the trees. So you always have, oh, here's one paint, was the next one. And then you follow the markings on the stones or on the trees or whatever. And it's tough because it starts at a height of, I think, 1,200 meters or something like that. But then you have 2 mountains of 800 meters. So you go up to over 2,000 meters high and through the forest. And I remember, I think the second mountain, I went to the top and I hugged the tree and I said, what the hell am I doing here? And then it was kind of funny because I took hundreds of pictures because scenery is very nice. That place, there's no electricity, there's no mobile, there's nothing. So in the base camp where we were staying, there was 1 satellite phone for emergencies. And in the evening, they would put on the generator that we could charge our batteries for the camera and things like that, but no mobile. So it was a fantastic experience. And it was kind of tough because you need a backpack. The rules are very strict. Basically, your backpack is 4 kilos. It doesn't sound much, but 4 kilos actually is a lot when you start running, I tell you. Because it's mandatory that you always have several liters of water with you. Emergency food, emergency blanket, whistle, aluminium cover, if you fall down, to protect you against the cold,
Yes.
because it's cold there. And
Yes.
even in summer, it's very cold. And light, you have a flashlight. So you have to carry all this stuff. And if you don't carry it, you're disqualified. And sometimes, maybe 4 different locations, you have one Mongolian guy sitting on a horse and looking you passing by. Say, oh, this guy, at least he's here already, you know. Okay. But if you would fall down somewhere, because sometimes it's really very dangerous, there's nobody to help you unless somebody comes after you and finds you, or you. This is why you have the whistle to make noise. So, but then 2008, I got problems with my back, and I stopped running.
Okay.
And since then, actually, I've stopped running. I do a lot of exercise. I miss very much.
Running.
And I can tell you a very interesting story about marathon. Who is the world record holder of running marathons? A Belgian lady. She's, I think, nearly 50 years old. 50.
50. Oh.
She has the world record of running 1 marathon every day in a year. So she ran last year 366 marathons.
Wow.
She's from Flanders, from the Flemish side. She was on TV everywhere. She's, of course, every day 1 marathon.
Wow.
Incredible. So it's running is actually very good, but of course you have to take care of your health. You have to be very careful. You cannot push yourself too much.
Yes.
Actually, I had the problem that I was pushing myself too much without knowing it, because the training also requires you to check your heart rate. So especially for running. But before, I didn't have this watch. Later, when I bought this watch, I found out that I was always running at maximum heart rate, which you cannot do. You can only 80% of maximum heart rate.
Yes.
Maybe you can do a small peak. But I was running constantly at maximum heart rate until I had to watch and say, oh my gosh, you know. This is why I did 5K, and I don't remember that time. I was already more than 50 years old. My 5K, I say, was 20 minutes or something like that, which is really fast. So I've done not only many marathons, also I did many semi-marathons. It's a relay marathon. You have 5 people running the marathon. So you do 10K, and other people do 10K, and so on. And that was also a very bad experience. This is why I wrote my book about pollution. One day I was doing the relay marathon, and I was the last one to run, the last piece. And I arrived in Tiananmen Square, was the arrival. I was really coughing my lungs out. The pollution was horrendous. It was 300 or 400 AQI, which is extremely dangerous.
Yes.
Oh my God, I was coughing. And I said, why? So later I found out that pollution was high. So I became a specialist in pollution issues, and I wrote a book about it.
Yes,
which is toxic capitalism. Now, pollution has gone down a lot in Beijing because China has made tremendous efforts.
Yes.
I also talk about that in my seminars, what China did with the Olympics. They started acting strongly, so they did a lot of things. In my book, I talk about the horrors of pollution in China, in the rivers and the lakes and the soil. China has done a very big job. It's not perfect yet, but you see the result in Beijing, where the pollution levels that we had 20 years ago, they are very rare today in Beijing. So sometimes the American AQI, not Chinese AQI, because they are not the same. You have to look at the American AQI. And you should not run outside if it is over 100, for example. Okay, in Europe they got already nervous if it is 70. They think, oh my God, pollution is so high. If we have 70 in Beijing, we are very happy. Because what the hell is good? So it's different standards. But if you are more than 100, you should avoid running, especially too quick. Because then you breathe, you really pump all the bad things into your lungs. Of course, if you go to a gym, for example, you also have to be careful what is the air in the gym. I went to the gym and I measured gym. It was also not always that good, because some gyms, they open the window, and I'm talking about 20 years ago, so all the pollution comes inside. So you have to be very careful when you go to a gym, that they have good air conditioning, And some gyms are specialized gym, but
Running is good for health.
but you have to feel your body because,
Yes.
for example, I don't have problem with my knee, but
Oh.
many people when they get old they have problems with the knee.
Yes.
I don't have any problem, but of course, if you have a knee problem, then you have to listen to your body. You cannot do too much running. You have to be careful what you do. If you have hip problem or knee problem or back problem you can control, but knee problem is very little.